What's going on, guys? It's me, Fan 2016 here, and today we have massive unboxing number 16 for you guys. I hope you guys are excited for another massive unboxing, as this is going to be the continuation of the Black Friday models I acquired, although it's already like middle of 2025 already, but this is actually part 2 of massive unboxing, like this massive unboxing Black Friday edition. If you haven't seen massive unboxing 15, which was the previous massive unboxing Black Friday haul, which is, yeah, I think it premiered somewhere around like 2 months ago, I guess. I'm not really quite sure, but here we are, mass unboxing number 16. But if you haven't seen mass unboxing 15, and then like a card will appear on your screen on the top right corner, and then you can check out that mass unboxing first before you jump into this mass unboxing. But if you just want to go watch mass unboxing 16, or you already come like up to date on my mass unboxing, excuse me, then you come to the right place. So we already got one box right here. Now, kind of like a different setup, as I have like a couple of separate video segments on this mass unboxing, because like I'm actually recording this on like different occasions. So here we have our box right here. So this just came today. So yeah, without being said, let's get mass unboxing number 16 started. So here's our first box. As I said already, this came from DG Pilot, and this just came in today. So excited to have this. Now, for this mass unboxing, it's not just Black Friday models. We're gonna say for the Black Friday models for last, but I ended up getting a couple of models on that early 2025 time frame. So kind of like somewhere around January 2025, and probably somewhere around like, I'm guessing, I think most of these models are from 2025. I have another video clip after this one that I'm gonna show you guys. I think it came from a different day, but who knows. But we do have our first box right here. Once again, came from DG Pilot. I ordered these models, like these, there's 2 models in there. So I ordered these 2 models back in January of this year, and yeah, took a bit of while for them to like ship to my house, because like they were kind of like there's like backlog on order of these 2 models, because they were popular and they sold out like hotcakes, and they labeled this as special releases, or special, yeah, just special orders. So with that being said, let's get started with the unboxing. So let me just cut through all these and all this, and of course we're gonna like cut it like so. Oh, come on, there we go. Whew. Come on, whip it in there, whip it in there. There we go. So we got that opened up. All right, and we just take out the box. Well, take out the flaps. Already got my I don't think. Okay, I'll just make it sure. Yeah, I hope my address was not in there. If it was, then I will have to blur that out. But as you can see, just let me look at the invoice. Hello, Henry. Thanks for shopping with us, the DG Pilot team. Making sure everything's correct. Okay, now I think I should have 2 models in there. If not, then we'll see what happens with the other ones. So here we go, and there she is. Here's our first model. Okay, I guess it's just 1 model in this box, surprisingly. But right here, 1 model I've been wanting to think of to have for quite a while is this. Yeah, this is like one of the models I do need. This is going to be the NG Models 1 front and scale American Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8. Super excited to have this. It's actually replacing my Gemini version, because yes, want to go for better to, like from good to better. What can you do? But I finally have this model. I've been thinking about having this model. I've been thinking NG, like I was wanting NG to do this kind of model, but I finally got it anyway. And there she is, the American 737 MAX 8, first model from this mass unboxing. Now I'm gonna go over in the next clip, about this order. So I'm gonna transition into that clip right now. So with that being said, let's move on to that. And here's the NG Models 1 front and scale American Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8. Super excited to now have this in my collection. I do have the Gemini version from the 2021 releases. I think it was August if I were to take a guess. But that mold is good, but if I want to go something even better, then I had to go for this NG version. But yeah, here it is. I think this came out on, oh yeah, September 2024. This was from the NG Model September 2024 releases. Now, this is not the only model I ordered for that release. Well, not really that release, but this is not the, what is that? Oh yeah, this is not the model that I ordered from those orders from DG. I also have a Hawaiian Airlines 787-9 that's supposed to be coming in from DG, but from what I unboxed, I guess I just only have this. So Yeah, maybe the Hawaiian 787, because like I'm not sure if they still have those or there's like new restocks on those from DG. They did not like notify me. Like I knew it was shipped, so I thought it was gonna be shipped in one box. Like I asked them if I can have that shipped in one box, but I guess it turns out to be just the American 737 Max 8. But yeah, I think there's still like some more restocks on those Hawaiian 787s that will be coming soon. So separate unboxing for that Hawaiian 787 will be coming soon, who knows when. But either way, I just have this American 737 Max 8, which once again, that's going to be my replacement for the Gemini version that I have currently. So you got the Boeing 737 Max 8 tiles right there, you got the CGI image of the plane, you got a very nice box art depicting some American Airlines logos right there, so here's one. And then you got like a red stripe over there that runs from this side to this side of the box. You got the aircraft registration, November 338 Romeo Sierra, 1 scale collectible model diecast smell. You got the American Airlines logo and the Boeing license product right there. For some reason, I don't know why, but for these recent releases, I haven't seen any NG models branding somewhere. Not sure if it's, like, I think, is this like a thing? Oh wait, there's some NG, but there's the NG models logo on the sides, but they have not done the NG models logo on the front, so I'm not sure why is that. But I'm guessing that's like a box change, if I were to say yes. Here's the bottom of the box. Here's the right side of the box, top of the box, and left side of the box. And here's the back side of the box right there. Same as the front. You got the Boeing license logo right there. And then you got the warning hazards, age 14 and plus. And the item number of this model is 88033. So let's get started with our first model for Mass Unboxing 16. Super excited to have this American 737 Max 8. And there she is right there. So here she is. There's my warning card right there, and if there's a CRP, yes, there is a CRP, March 2024. Have a couple of these. Well, let's get started with the unboxing, shall we? So, here we go. NG American 737 Max 8. Now, I heard that the color, like the gray color on this model, is just a little bit dark, but from what I'm seeing, I don't think it doesn't look it doesn't look that bad. I think it has to do with the gloss, but there she is. Let me see if it's all secured and everything. Make sure there's no broken parts. Okay, horizontal stabilizers looks good, tail looks good. Let's check for antennas. And we got our first model intact right here. So here she is, the American 737 Max 8 from NG Models. Honestly, it looks very nice. Really cool model for my collection, and I'm really glad to have an American 737 Max 8. I might do a model comparison on my Gemini and my American, well, this model in particular, and the GeminiJets version I have, but still, another job well done from NG Models. And yeah, what a cool model this is. Really cool to have an American 737 Max 8 from NG Models, and overall it just looks fantastic. And here's the NG Models 1/400 scale American Airlines Boeing 737 Max 8. What a nice model from NG Models right here. I always love NG 737 Max models ever since they debuted those back in 2022, well, late 2022 in that case. But still, this is one cool looking model. I think, yeah, because like they got the Desert Gold Retro as their first NG Max 8 release. But still, this is an awesome model to have, and overall, it's just a stunner from NG Models right there. So let's get started with the review of the model. Let me make sure that's focused. There we go. So I got the cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape, typical good nose shape from NG Models right there. You got the radome, pitot tube details right there, nose landing gear, and the nose landing gear door containing parts of the decals right there, like the registration prefix of the plane. You got your L1 boarding door right there, and your One World logo. You got the American Airlines logo as well, billboard titles, and then there's your printed windows right there, which I think NG Models did a good job on the printing. Moving on to the middle section of the aircraft, you got your LEAP 1B engines, which I think NG Models did a wonderful job on the various what is that size and all the various details of the engines. You got your chevron tubes right there and the exhaust right there. You got your main landing gear as well, top antenna, and then there's your emergency exit doors alongside the bottom antenna at the front. And then moving on to this side, you got the stunning AT winglet, advanced technology winglet, that's really like you would mostly see on 737 Maxes, which almost looks like a split scimitar, but this is not really a split scimitar winglet. Once again, these winglets provide like less drag and less fuel burn, so that's really cool on how that's applied to a 737 Max. And then moving on to some wings, good wing details as you can see, all your various like spoiler details, ailerons, flap slats, and all your various flat track canoes and all your various like details. I think NG Models did a great job on that. Moving on to the back side of the plane, if I can zoom in and focus, there we go. You got your back antennas right there. You got your Wi-Fi dome, and then there's your rear antenna right there. there's your US flag and the aircraft registration, November 338 Romeo Sierra, and then I'm guessing that's the plane ship number right there. And there's your L2 door, and then moving on to the F-Inizer of the plane, you got your APU, a very distinctive APU for a 737 MAX, almost similar to the 787s, and then your horizontal stabilizers as well, and the American Airlines logo, which I think NG Models did a wonderful job putting the American Airlines logo on the 737 tail, and then you can see a little bit of rudder detail. But I think that's one of the coolest things for NG Models is you get some various like details, even some small details on this model right here. Moving on to the front section, as you can see, front section looks good, and then you can see some LEAP engine details on the fan blades right there, so great work NG Models like that on that. I know it's really hard to see, but it's there. Now, as for the color, I think I mentioned before that the color does appear, I think for some collectors, I think they may say that the color has appeared dark, but for me, it looks okay. I mean, like, it's not too dark, unlike the A220 IAE engines from July 2020 from GeminiJets, but I think this is still an exceptional color for what this model is depicting, and I think it may vary, because like if I were to put this out on broad daylight, like when the sun is clear, then I think the color will appear much better. So no, it's just a little misdemeanor for me, but yeah, maybe it could be different for other collectors as well. Anyways, here we are at the starboard section of the plane. You got your R1 and R2 doors. You got your forward cargo bin right there, and then from, if I could move it, you can see the aft cargo bin, which is right there. And now let's move on to the top view of the plane. So here's the top view. Not much on detail. I mean, like, you can see some details, but not as many details on the top as per usual. Moving on to the bottom section. Oh yeah, wait. Okay. I did not expect this. So here's the bottom of the box, like the bottom of the model right here. As you can see, some good details. But what's really distinctive is this stand hole right here. I did not know this American 737 MAX 8 was gonna have a stand hole, because like I would think it's like just a typical 737 from NG. There's no stand hole, but this is really clever from NG. So it's really cool to see them add a stand hole on the 737 MAX 8s. I hope they do those for their 737 800s as well. But you can see some good details right there. You can see like the holes of the main landing gear, like where the main landing gear is supposed to be. Moving on to the front section of the plane, here's a beautiful front section, as you can see. And then moving on to the back section, here it is right there. So overall, what a cool model is from NG Models. And yeah, I think I might do a comparison on this NG and my GeminiJets version I currently have. So maybe that video will be coming out very soon. But yeah, after that, I'm gonna like straight up replace that Gemini version with this American 737 MAX 8 from NG Models. And overall, going good to better. That's how it is for me sometimes, but I think NG Models did a stunning job on this particular aircraft right there. So that is it for our first model for this mass unboxing, but we're gonna have to go way back in time for our second model. Let's travel back to December 2024, because on that day I got a really cool model for this particular airline for my collection. And honestly, it's one of like the coolest models I got. So yeah, we're gonna travel back to time to December 2024, and we're gonna see what that model is. So without being said, let's head back to December 2024. And welcome everybody to December 2024. Yes, we've gone way back through time. And currently I'm recording this on December 4th, 2024, but I do have this box right here. This came from Jet Collector, and this is part of like the mass unboxing. So this model I did purchase on Cyber Monday. However, Jet Collector's Black Friday sale already ended at that time when I purchased this model. But it is a model that I'm just super excited to have, and a really cool model for this particular model plane collection that I currently have. So super excited about this. So once again, it came with a big box, honestly. Like, the box itself looks very big just when I look at it, but inside is a really cool model, and overall I'm just super excited to have this for my collection. So yeah, kind of weird in my opinion that I'm recording this in December 2024 while Mass Unboxing 16 would have been like premiering out around like late May or something, like somewhere May or June. But yeah, that just shows how like exciting this model is. So I had to like record this anyway. So here we go. As I go through all the packing peanuts, I do have my Jet Collector receipt right there. So let me just put that away like so. And I'm gonna have to like, ooh, yeah, that's like a lot of packing peanuts right there, so I might have to dig through all of those to find the model. But I do feel it right there. Let me just take her out like so. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like stand up for this one, so I'm gonna have to adjust my tripod. And yeah, I'm gonna have to like do this while I'm standing up. So with that being said, let me transition into that right now. And there we go, so you can see all these packing peanuts right there. So yeah, gonna have to do this while I'm standing up, but I got an exciting model and I can see a little glimpse of it. So as I take her out without like the packing peanuts spilling out, so come on. Oh yes. Oh man, here we go. Yes sir. Oh man, I'm super excited for this. But right here, we have the NG models 1/400 scale Delta Airlines Airbus A350-900 in the Team USA livery. Really excited to have this model in my collection. Another, well, Olympics livery for my Delta Airlines collection, since I already have the A330neo from GeminiJets, the exclusive one, but I decided to get the NG because, yes. But other than that, I'm just super excited to have this model in my collection. Another great model, or like addition to my Delta Airlines collection, and overall it should be a really cool model, since of course I already have a Delta A350-900 in my collection, but I do want to get this because it just, the livery just looks really cool. So yeah, really glad to have it. Let's review it. And here's the NG models 1/400 scale Delta Airlines Airbus A350-900 in the Team USA livery. Super excited to add this model to my Delta Airlines collection, and overall, this livery just looks fantastic, so why not get a model out of it? Once again, I already have the Delta A330neo in the Team USA livery from GeminiJets, which was the Delta Airlines Olympic shop, or like the Team USA shop exclusive, but why not get the NG version? I mean, like, Gemini did an exclusive Team USA shop version of this aircraft, so yeah, but I decided to go for the NG, more in particular, the Ultimate Collection box, because why not? Because I have 2 Ultimate Collection models already, so why not get another one? So let's get started with the reviews. So you got the Airbus A350-900 tiles right there, you got the CGI image of the aircraft, you got the various like elements right here of the Team USA livery, so you can see the line that goes all the way from over here, almost similar to like the livery that's represented on the aircraft right there. You got the Team USA tiles, and honestly, they did a fantastic job on this box design. I'm quite surprised they managed to make a model out of this, because I don't know, like, I don't think they got licensing for it from like Team USA itself, so like, not sure how they were able to bypass this, but who knows. Anyways, you got the logos for the Olympic team and the Paralympic team right there. So this is the Olympic team right there, this is the logo, and this is the Paralympic team logo right there. So you can see the style difference. So you can see like it's compared to the rings, there's some kind of like some crescent moons, I guess, like crescents over there, but really cool. 1/4 scale collectible models like SML right there. Delta Airlines logo, and the registration of the aircraft is November 521 Delta November. Moving on to the bottom side, so here's the bottom side, and this is where I'll open it up. You got the Delta Airlines logo and all your various Team USA logos right there. Here's the right side of the box, so you can see, very nice box design right there. Here is the back, well the top actually, the top and the bottom are almost similar. And moving on, you got the left side of the box right there, similar to the right. And then here's the back side of the box, no aircraft on the back side. You just got like the Team USA logo right there, made in China, age 14 and plus, 14 and over in this case, warning hazards, and the item number of this model is 39082. So, super excited to unbox this model, and overall, this should be a very cool model, and I already have a Delta A350-900 in my collection already, so why not get another one? So, super excited to unbox this model, so here we go. Let's unbox the NG Team USA Delta A350. So, I know this model is gonna look amazing, so we're not gonna waste further time, and we're gonna get started with the unboxing. So here we go. Alright, let's do it, everybody. So this aircraft, well, the box itself is just wrapped in some plastic, so I'm just gonna cut this like so, and just kind of like rip it, not really exactly rip it, just like take out all the various like plastic stuff that's surrounding the box. Oop, don't want to damage the box too, otherwise that will be unfortunate. By making some progress on the cutting right there, and I think it should be good. I think I need to cut a little bit more, but either way, I digress. Anyways, we got that out. There we go. So, with all your various like Ultimate Collection boxes, this is my third one. I already demonstrated this when I unboxed those 747-8s, but how this works is you see the open tab, you just open this up. almost functions like a Gemini 200 box, but this is 1 for 100 and this is by NGMall. So you just open this up, and then we're going to reveal it inside the pamphlet. So here we go. Without being said, the aircraft itself, the model itself in this case. But here we go. And man, that is fantastic. Holy crap, that looks majestic. Wow. Ooh, yes. And then you can see on the top, as mentioned, so here is like the what's under the pamphlet. You just see Team USA tiles right there, and then you got your warning hazards right there. So do not hold the fuselage with the whole palm in case of being hurt, or like by the 3D dimensionals, like the 3D dimensional antennas. And then you can see the bottom, you see the Delta, and then there's also the Team USA logos right there. Here's my card, my CRP card, which is kind of like typical at this point, no need to explain more. March 2024 format. And here we go, let's take her out of that box. So here is the cradle itself. Oh, I also like the fact they added a styrofoam to this. So as you can see, there's like a styrofoam to help cushion the cradle, so that's really cool. Nothing's on the bottom though. And then as I look at the bottom, is there a stand? No stand on this one. Quite surprised, because like the previous ones, they have the stand on those 747-8s. Oh man, that just looks so fantastic. Ooh, wow. The color really pops right here. Alright, come out of there. Man. Whoo, yes. Wow. Holy crap. Come on, get... Oh, wow. Man, that looks fantastic. Let's hope you're not broken. Okay, wings should be good. And the wings are good. Horizontal stabilizers. Good. And the tail. Are we looking for all antennas that are intact in the model? And they are. And man, look at this beauty right there. Woo! That's a phenomenal job from NG right there. Wow, look at that. Man. Whew. Wow, that's just a phenomenal job. Let me look at the backside. Let's have a look at the backside. So here's the back area of the plane. NG did a phenomenal job on this. No need to explain more. I mean, the Gemini also looks nice too, but NG just hits the spot right here. Wow, that is phenomenal right there. Man, that is just a beauty right there. Wow, that... Excellent work, NG Models. This is just a phenomenal job you guys did. Wow, your A350 mold looks fantastic, and overall, this is absolute effort right here. This is just amazing. So, what a cool model this is. Really glad to have it for my Delta Airlines collection. And here's the NG Models 1/400 scale Delta Airlines Airbus A350-900 in the Team USA livery. What a stunning model this is. I'm really glad to have it for my Delta Airlines collection once again, and overall, they did a phenomenal job with this model right here, and the livery itself, honestly. They just did so good on this model, honestly. But yeah, here she is, the Delta A350-900 Team USA from NG Models. So let's get started with the review. So I got the cockpit windows right there. Of course, you got the raccoon mask that overlies the cockpit windows. You got the nose shape of the A350, which I think NG Models did a good job on. You got some pitot tubes right there, and then all your various stack ports right there, and some various details right there. You got your nose landing gear and nose landing gear door can tell you part of the aircraft ship number right there. You got the SkyTeam logo right there. You got your L1 boarding door, and then you got the Delta Airlines logo, and then you can see the official airline of Team USA. So once again, here's their Olympic logo and their Paralympic logo right there. You can see a top antenna as well right there. You can see the windows. So I think it just could be like the Delta 1 first class right here. Then you can see the L2 boarding door right there. And then this is where the livery starts. So as you can see, I love on how NG was able to like replicate this fade. So like it started like a fade over there, and then like transitions into like the actual livery itself. And then you also got the Team USA tiles right there. And yeah, I think NG Models did a great job on this. I think that's very well attention to detail right there. So I think not sure if I've checked on the Gemini one, but I'm assuming it has this too. But I think Gemini's is a little bit different. But still, I think NG Models did a good job on this. You can see like the various like outlines of the aircraft's belly right there. So you can see that separation right there. That crease somewhere over here right there. So it's really cool how NG was like able to replicate that. Here's your landing light right there, so I like on how they added the landing light as well. There's your Trent XWB engines, which once again, like, I think I already mentioned about the A350, like the Trent XWBs on NG's A350 mold. They're well accurate in size, and yeah, no need to explain more about this. They did a good job on the details on this. engine. And then you can see the main landing gear right there, so they also did a good job on that. And then you can see the engine pylons right there. And then moving on, you can see the Deltas, like the Delta logo on the A350, which it somehow placed it all the way at the very bottom, which it's like that for the previous A350 they did, which is the standard livery, but I mean, they tried their best. It would have been nice if they kind of like put the Delta Airlines logo somewhere right there, kind of like in the middle of the A350's winglets. You can also see that on like the inner side of the winglet right there. So you can see the Delta logo is placed all the way like right there. It should have been a little bit somewhere over here, which can't complain. I mean, like NG, I mean, they did a good job at least, but it's kind of like, almost like it is kind of hard to like put that in there because the Delta Airlines logo is small. So I think they still did an okay job on that. Here's the wing details right there, so you can see all your various wing details. You got some like printed details right there, and then you can see the slats, flaps, and you got the spoilers, and then your aileron details and your flat track canoes right there. So great work, NG, on those details on the wings. Moving on to this side, you got your L3 door right there, and your L4 door, you got your US flag and the aircraft registration, November 521, Delta November. And from judging the livery, since this aircraft was revealed for like in preparation of the Paris 2024 Olympics, it almost looks like this could be like representing the Eiffel Tower. So really cool. There's like good attention to detail Delta did on this livery, so proud of their efforts right there. And then moving on to this side, moving on to the empennage area of the plane, you got your APU and your horizontal stabilizers, and the Delta Airlines upward and downward tail, looking very nice. I think this is well printed as well on this model right here. And then you can see the aircraft shipment number 3521. And then moving on to the front section, a very nice front section right there. I think Engine Models also did a great job on the front details right there. So you can see the emergency exit hatch right there. You can see your fan blades on the Trent XWB engines. And yeah. And then moving on to the starboard section of the aircraft right there. So here's the starboard section. You got your R doors, R1, R2, R3, and R4. You got your forward cargo bin right there. And your aft cargo bin, which is somewhere right there. Moving on to a top view of the aircraft. So here's the top view of the plane. Looking very nice. Of course, with the various like details, like minor details on the top. On the bottom, you got your Delta Airlines logo. If I could try like position the aircraft to where you could guys, well, you can see it, but a much more better position. Ooh. Here's a better position right there, so you can see the Delta Airlines logo, and you can slightly see some underbelly details, like bottom details as well. You also got your stand hole right there. Moving on to the front section of the plane. Let me just adjust it so we can do this. So here's the front view of the plane. No need to explain more since I kind of gone over, but you can see the ground flex on the wings right there. And then moving on to the back. Oops, let me just move this. And here's the back section of the plane right there. So overall, what a fantastic model for Engine Models. Really glad to have this in my collection. Once again, the Delta A350 Team USA livery on this aircraft. Like, it just looks very nice. Honestly, better than the A330neo, but still, I think the A330neo does look nice. But the Team USA, it really hits a spot on this A350. I might also try to get the LA28 livery as well from NG, since they also did announce that too. But other than that, I do have this A350-900 right there, Team USA livery. So, really glad to have it. Now let's get back to your regularly scheduled programming of Massive Unboxing number, I think 16, yeah, Massive Unboxing 16. So let's transition into the next models. And welcome back to the present, everybody. Yes, after that quick jump cut to today, we have our last box right here, and this is actually the Black Friday models, and like the full flavor Black Friday models. So this came from Panda Fox Toys, and Panda Fox Toys' Black Friday sale is really, really good because they extended it after Cyber Monday. So that's really cool. So of course, with Panda Fox and their Black Friday sales, you get like 25% off if you purchase this amount of models, or like more than that as you increase. So kind of almost like tradition for me to get some Panda Fox, like get something from Panda Fox on Black Friday because they got some really good deals. And yeah, I think this deal overall, it's really, really cool because like they did once again, they extended the Black Friday sale to like December 12th. So that's like really cool. So why not take part of it? And to this day, this has got to be my most expensive Panda Fox purchase. Normally I would like purchase a couple of models from here and there. I would purchase a lot of models from Panda Fox on Black Friday, but I think for this one, I ended up purchasing 8 models in one go, and I think it costs somewhere in the ballpark, like if you include all the various like discounts, I think $300, and maybe I got some 1-front and narrow bodies for like 30 something dollars, or maybe wide bodies that are worth like $40. So, or like maybe 39, I don't even know, but still, that price for those models, that's a great deal. I mean, it came down to a hefty price tag when you total all of them, but is it worth it? No, in terms of all my budgeting and all that stuff and my wallet, but for me as a collector, yes. But here we are. Last box, we're ending off big here, right here. Yeah, like it pretty much, like it's probably the biggest box I've ever seen. Well, not like in terms of like height. Because, like, I would also get some Panda Fox on Black Friday, so I would get, like, a rectangular box, but this is different. But I got some cool models to take a look at, so with that being said, let's take a look at these models, if I can try to, like, find an opening. But, man, I'm literally standing up for this. Because, yeah, these boxes, like, these deals on Black Friday, you got really, really good deals on Black Friday when you get some models. So, yeah, Squatchy's Diecast Hangout also had a good Black Friday sale as well. So, yeah. But I did not end up purchasing from Squatchies, but hopefully soon in the future. I mean, I got some Squatchies in Airliners 2024, but never purchased them on their official website. But we got that thing opened up. Let's take her out. And I think this is where the video ends up getting to like a bit of a duration, like the long duration part. But as I open up the flaps, yeah, I'm gonna have to go for a bird's eye view on this, so we can take a look at these boxes. But oh my god, this is literally intense, but not really intense, but this is just really cool unboxing this big box. And you can see 16, I label it 16 since this will be part of Mass Unboxing 16. So without being said, let's go into a bird's eye view and let's take a look at this, everybody. Alright, bird's eye view for this one, folks. So let's take out all these like packing papers right there. Oh yeah, I can see some models right there. Oh my god. Alright, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So without being said, let's take a look at these models and let's see what we have first. First model is already right there. The NG models 1-400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 with the United Together / Being United titles. Another good model from NG models. This also came out on the September 2024 releases, and I always been wanting to have this model for a long, well, not really a long time, but I've been wanting to have this model, like a better version of this particular aircraft. So that's our first model right there. Let's just put that aside. And then we got a couple more. Whew. Here we go. Next model coming up is this thing right here. I had this model in my collection already, but I'm going to talk about why I ended up getting another one. So this is the Janet Boeing 737-600. And yeah, really cool to have this. I mean, I had this before, but yeah, I decided to get it again. But she has returned to my collection at long last, and yeah. Next up, here's another GeminiJets right there. And that's going to be this beauty right here. We have the FedEx Express Boeing 757-200 Freighter. Really cool to add another FedEx model in my collection, and yeah, really cool to add the 752 Freighter right there. So this could be my first 757 Freighter as well, so that's really nice. Let me try adjusting my studio light a bit, because like, I don't know, or maybe I could just like move it, but yeah, I've kind of blocked, my shadow is blocking the light, so yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that. Hope you can still hear me from here, but as we continue on, yeah, I'm gonna have to like extend this. I know this is kind of like uncut right here, but who wants better lighting when you see these models? So let's move on. We have a United Airlines model, and that's going to be the United Airlines Boeing 737-900ER with the 100 decal, or the 100 sticker. I'll go over on why I ended up getting this model as well, but here it is right there. Next up, we have a pair of, oh yeah, these are good. What should we have first? I'm going to start off with this one. So actually, I want to go on chronology, like from here, here, and here. So next up, we have this beauty right here. We have the Alaska Airlines Airbus A320. Super cool to have this. I know this aircraft is already retired in the Alaska Airlines fleet, but I got it for one specific reason. So that's the Alaska A320. Next up, another model I've always been wanting to have. Well, not really. Thinking of having and replacing one of them is going to be this one. It's the engine models United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8. And yeah, just a standard livery. So real cool to have this. And yeah, I already have two GeminiJets version of this, but I'll be selling one of them. So here's the 737 MAX 8 for United Airlines by engine models. Another airline or international airline that I also have in my collection, but this one is a different aircraft. That is the Icelandair Boeing 737 MAX 9 with the blue stripes in their current livery. Really cool to have this, and yeah, really nice to have another Icelandair model in my collection after getting that 757 from West Coast Diecast, the 80 years livery. And I think we have one final model right here. I'm not going to show you guys, but oh my god, this one in particular is a really cool one. Let me just take all of these out. Ooh, I've been wanting to have this particular plane in my collection for a long time, but here she is. The GeminiJets 1/400 scale VC-25A Air Force One. Well, I don't know. I mean, like, this is honestly really cool. One of the most iconic planes out there, and I finally have it in my collection. I've been wanting to have Air Force One in my collection for a long time, and she has officially landed right there. So, gonna make sure that's it for the box. Okay, I'm just checking the everything is just checking the box. Okay, everything's good on that box. Let's see our discount code. So here is our discount code. This already expired, unfortunately. So this expired on February 17th, 2025, and the discount code is Hotel 3 Yankee 7 Papa Zulu. So unfortunately, you cannot redeem this because it's already expired. But we have some really cool models right here from Panda Fox Toys. What a haul this is, man! Like, from the various GeminiJets to engine models. Gosh, this is more. Honestly, there's like a lot more narrow bodies than what. Oh my god! Look at that tower right there. This is literally a tower. So how many are there? If I counted correctly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 models from Panda Fox. That's really insane for a Black Friday deal. So here they are right there. And yeah, I wonder what should I start with first. Man, like, these are really cool models, to be honest, but I think what I do want to start with first is the Gemini versions, like the GeminiJets, probably starting off with that Janet 737-600, and then proceeding on with the American 75, and then we'll move on to the NGs, which is United, Alaska, and then United MAX 8, Icelandair, United MAX 8, and then we're going to finish off with Air Force One. So, let's get started with all these Black Friday purchases, shall we? So, we're gonna get started with the Janet 737-600, and I'll go over further details on why I ended up getting this model. So, without being said, let's start off with the Janet 736. Alright, so let's get started with the GeminiJets 1/400 scale Janet Boeing 737-600. Now, this is a model I already had in my collection. I did unbox this model in Master Unboxing 10. However, the first one, I think I ended up selling that to somebody else that's just locally in my area. He's also a model plane collector. I forgot who the name was, but I ended up selling it to one aviation enthusiast, and he wanted like a Janet 737-600 for his collection, so I ended up giving that model up. So like, I gave that model to him, and honestly, like, after that, I really wanted to have that Janet 737 back, but it's here again. So yeah, there it is, the Janet 737-600, a model that I got from airliners, ended up like selling it to another person, and yeah, it's back. So there she is. So I'm not gonna go into too much review because I did a full and in-depth review in Master Unboxing 10, but I'll have a separate video on this particular model in a model plane review. So just gonna like unbox it, and then we'll be moving on. So of course you got the GeminiJets logo right there. So GeminiJets logo, made for collectors by collectors. What's really unique about this box is the Las Vegas skyline. So you can see the Luxor Hotel, and then you can see like a couple of 737-600s from Janet right there. And then you can also see some other casinos in the Las Vegas Strip. So you got the Janet tiles right there. You got the Boeing 737-600 tiles right there. 1/400 scale die-cast model aircraft. Here's the bottom of the box. Right side of the box, top of the box, and left side of the box. And over here at the back, you can see the aircraft, the CGI image of the plane taken off, like right there. And then you can see some clouds as well as guest features, their social media pages, and this is a 2023 GeminiJets copyright label right there. I think this came out somewhere around, I'm guessing it's either between early 2023 or mid 2023. I'm not really sure about that. Like, I'm not really quite sure, but yeah, been a while. You got the bullet points right there, and then the Boeing license product right there. So overall, really glad to have this model back, and yeah, I'm gonna do a model review on this model because like this particular plane is just unique. It is my first 737-600 in my collection. And yeah, the 736 is just a really unique plane. You don't see many 736. WestJet did already retire them already, and I don't know why they were like two like plastics like overlapping the plane. But yeah, there she is right there. Hopefully it's intact. Let me check the wings. Okay, the wings are good. Horizontal stabilizers and the tail, and make sure we got everything. And we got everything. So here it is. Oops. So here's the GeminiJets M36, looking very nice, and honestly, I think GeminiJets did a wonderful job on this model right here. So, welcome back to my collection, GeminiJets M36, and yeah, it's a really cool model once again. Oop, just want to like adjust my tripod. But yeah, there she is, the GeminiJets M736, gosh. But overall, it's a nice model from GeminiJets, and yeah, really cool model. I never have one of these kinds of models in my collection, and overall, it's just a really unique plane, I'll say. So, there she is. The GeminiJets M36 has finally arrived at my collection once again. And let's move on to our next model, which will be the FedEx Boeing 757-200. So, with that being said, let's move on to that model. The next model we'll be unboxing is going to be the GeminiJets 1/400 scale FedEx Express Boeing 757-200. Super excited to add another FedEx Express to my collection. The last FedEx Express I had is a FedEx 767. And it's a good asset from my cargo fleet, but I do want to get the 757-200 because I've seen these planes before, but yeah, they don't come to Sacramento that often. I think depending on like the cargo capacity, like the cargo demand in SMF, they would sometimes bring in a 757-200 freighter. So decided to get one anyway because like, yeah, I mean the NG did one like somewhere around 2018, I guess. That's kind of like a rare model to find, so I decided to offer this Gemini version. So I got the GeminiJets logo right there, made for collectors by collectors. Now, unlike the standard GeminiJets box, FedEx has their own design box for GeminiJets models. So you got the FedEx Express logo right there, and you got the CGI image of the plane right there, kind of close to the top, like the bottom right corner. Boeing 757-200 freighter tiles right there, 1/4 scale die-cast small aircraft, and I like on how like the box has the colors of the FedEx Express logo. Here's the bottom side of the box, right side of the box, top of the box, and left side of the box. And here's the back side of the box right there. You got the CGI image of the plane right there, as well as it gets features, all your bullet points, and then you got the social media page right there, Boeing licensed product, and the FedEx licensing product right there. And this is the 2024 GeminiJets release right there. And the item number of this model is GJFDX 1993. Let's have a look at the model inside the pamphlet, so let me open it up. There she is, looking very nice. And then here's the description of the 757 and this particular plane, so you can pause and read if you want. And yeah, it gives you all the information. And let's unbox this. So, once again, super excited to add another FedEx Express in my collection. And overall, the 752 should be a nice asset for that. So as I take it out, and yeah, GeminiJets is, I didn't know they were able to like put in two plastics on top of the model, and then there's no bottom plastic, so that's interesting. But overall, here she is, looking absolutely very nice. And let me see if the quality control on the horizontal stabilizer and tail are good. Okay, so it's good. Yeah, so this model's good, and yeah, this is a one-piece mold, which I can't complain too much, which I know it's outdated, but I mean, like, if GeminiJets likes to do it that way, they like to do it that way. So here it is, the FedEx 752. I'm not sure if this one's classified as a special freighter, but still, it's a nice model for that, for the cargo collection, and more in particular my FedEx collection. So there she is, looking absolutely very nice out of the box, and I'm really glad to have that model in my collection. And here's the GeminiJets 1/400 scale FedEx Express Boeing 757-200 SF. Looking very nice at 1/400 scale, and honestly, it's really cool to add another FedEx plane in my collection. And yeah, like, really cool to have this 75 in my collection as well. So here it is, the FedEx 757 from GeminiJets. So let's get started with the review. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape of the plane. Once again, not the best nose shape on like NG, but I think NG, like GeminiJets did a good job on that. And then you got the aircraft's name, which I'm not sure if I can try to like, here, let me zoom, like put it a little closer. Yeah, it's kind of like hard to see in 1/4 scale. So that's the aircraft name. They would mainly name it under like kids, if I were to take a guess. That's how FedEx would name their planes. And then you got the world on time tiles right there. You got your boarding door right there. There's your nose landing gear and nose landing gear door containing part of the registration or the ship number. You got the big cargo hold over there, so this is where it opens up. You got the FedEx Express tiles right there, and then there's your stack ports and all that. And then there's your top antenna as well. Now, with the FedEx tiles, there are some FedEx planes that just have FedEx on like the fuselage, so they would get rid of the Express and it would just say FedEx instead. I think the 767 and the 777 freighter has that kind of title, so yeah, who knows if I may have seen a 75. I don't think the 757 has that yet, but they will soon. Anyways, here's your roll source, RB211 engines, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on the sizing and the proportions of the engines right there, and then you got the FedEx Express tiles right there. There's your windows as well, and then there's your main landing gear. Moving on to some wing details. So here's some wing details. I think GeminiJets did a good job on the wing details of the 757. You can see the ground spoilers, ailerons, flaps, and slats, and then your flat track canoes, and then all the metallic details right there. So really cool to see that. Moving on to the back side of the aircraft, there's your other door right there. There's your US flag, and then the aircraft registration, which is November 9021 Foxtrot Delta, and then there's your back antenna, and then this is where the livery starts. So you can see like the purplish, like the purple area that begins over here, and then it runs all the way to the back of the plane. So you can see the purple Euro white scheme right there. So here is the empennage area of the plane. So here it is. So here's the APU, and of course you got your horizontal stabilizers, and the tail containing the FedEx titles, which, I mean, it's a good, I mean, it's well printed, I'll say. That's all I can really say. I think GeminiJets did a good job on that. Here's the front, here's like the front view of the plane. Looking very nice. I think GeminiJets also did a good job on that. And then there's your fan blade details right there. They don't spin, but it makes sense for a 1-400 model. And then you can see the cockpit windows as well with some extra details. Moving on to the starboard section of the plane, as you can see, nothing much on the starboard section. You got your the R door right there. There's your forward cargo bin and your aft cargo bin, which is right there. Now, as I give you guys a top view of the plane, here's the top view. Not much on details, but I still think GeminiJets did a good job on that. Moving on to the bottom, of course, it is a one-piece. GeminiJets has been using the 757 one-piece mold for quite some time. As you can see, you got the GeminiJets logo, the rat turbine door, and the main landing gear door right there. A lot of good printed details right there at the bottom. Oh, I'm not sure what is that. Or maybe that's part of it. Yeah, I think that could be part of the plane. Moving on, here's the front section of the aircraft, looking nice as well. And moving on to the back, also looking very fantastic. So overall, really cool model right here from GeminiJets. And yeah, really cool to have a FedEx 75 in my collection. And yeah, so like I have two FedEx planes in my collection already. So I have the 767 and the 757. I hope I can try to get the 777 freighter in the future, because I did see a 777 freighter from FedEx Express back then. So we'll see. Maybe I might try to get one of the recent 777 freighter releases from Gemini in 1/400 scale, but who knows. But still, I have this plane and the 767 because I guess I need it anyway for some future airport updates in the future. But other than that, these are cool models, and I'm really, well, this model in particular is also cool. The 767 freighter is also a nice model to have in my collection, but still, really glad to have this for my FedEx fleet. So I think what I want to start next is that United 737, because I got a lot of talking points about that aircraft. So with that being said, let's transition into the United 737. The next model we'll be unboxing is this NG Models 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737-900ER with the 100 sticker. Now, this was an oddball purchase, and I'm gonna go into information on, or explanation on why I purchased this model, but this aircraft is now in the Evil Blue livery. This aircraft used to be in the Continental Globe livery, but had that titles, that 100 sticker, but since it was painted in the Evil Blue livery, that sticker's already long gone. So, but once again, I'll tell you on why I ended up purchasing this model after I give you guys the box review. So, you got the Boeing 737-900ER tiles right there. You got the CGI image of the plane. You got the very nice design for United's Continental Globe livery. You got the 100 tiles right there, next generation model. I guess they now call it next generation model. They have the next generation model tiles instead of having the engine models. 1/400 scale collectible bonds like SML. You got the United titles and the 100 titles right there. Boeing licensed product, and the aircraft registration is November 69818. Here's the bottom side of the box. Here is the right side of the box. Top side of the box. You can see the next generation model tiles right there. And the back side of the, well, not back, the back of the, no, the left side of the box. And here is the back side of the box. Same thing, you got your warning hazards right there, Boeing licensed product, and their Facebook page and social media pages, and the item number is 79012. Now, the reason why I got this model is I actually did see this aircraft at Sacramento International with the 100 tiles, and this was not from plane spotting or that. This was actually from one of my work shifts I did. So it was like early in the morning, and then I came across this aircraft with that 100 tiles, and I was able to snap a picture of it while I was at Terminal A at its gate. So here's that picture right now, and overall it was really cool to see that aircraft, and that was the only time I saw that plane. After that, she has since then been painted or repainted in the aircraft Evo Blue livery. Not sure when NG's gonna do another re-release of a United Evo Blue 739, but these 739s are starting to get repainted into Evo Blue colors. Like, not really, I think somewhere around rapid fire, but there's only a few 737-900 ZR, like 739s out there for United that still have the Continental Globe livery. So these Evo Blues are coming in clutch, I'll say. But since I get to have this, and no, I'm not really gonna like do anything about this. I'm just gonna keep this because I seen this plane with those tiles. Anyways, here's the NGCRP. This is from March 2024, so no need to go into information about that. But it's kind of like interesting on how I got, like, I have another Continental Globe 739 for United, but hey, it's really cool anyway. And here she is, looking very nice. Let me make sure the quality control is on point. Okay, wings are good. Horizontal stabilizers. Tail looks good. What about this port wing? And we'll look for antennas, and she's looking good. And there she is. So yeah, it's been a while since I last had a Continental Globe United 79. I think the last time I got one was from 2022 with the, like, just the Continental Globe standard livery. So, but it's really cool to have another one, but this one just has the 100 tiles. And they also made a couple of those models, but this one in particular I just want to get because, once again, I've seen this aircraft before. So yeah, here she is, looking really good. And here's the NG Models 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737-900ER with the 100 decal. Looking very nice from NG Models right there, and I think they did a wonderful job on this model, and it's really interesting on how I got another United 739 Continental Globe. So let's get started with the review as we start at front. So you got your cockpit windows right there, and then you got the nose shape of the plane. Of course, NG Models does a wonderful job on the nose shape of their 737 family. You got your nose landing gear and nose landing gear door containing the E-top titles and the ship number of the plane. You also got your Star Alliance logo right there and your L1 boarding door. And then you got some, like, I'm guessing that's like Wi-Fi on board. That's the Wi-Fi on board decal, if I were to take a guess. You also got your pitot tube details, there's stackboard details right there. And you also got your windows. Some of them are block, as you can see. There's like 3 windows that are block over there. Moving on to this section of the plane, you got your United tiles right there. And then there's the 100 sticker right there. Now, the reason why United place that sticker on this aircraft is this. So I do have some information from United's media room, and here, let me just pull it up. So here's the main story of this sticker. So this 739 features the company's United 100 logo, which of course that's the one I mentioned. The airline designed the United 100 program to recognize 100 employees nominated and selected by their coworkers for exemplary performance or achievements, and United Airlines pick 100 people, the winners of this, so their names can be placed inside of the airplane's plaque. So I think that's where when you enter the board the plane, you would see like the plaque containing all the 100 winners of United's 100 program. So that's your statement on why this 100 logo exists. So really cool on how United was able to do that back then. Anyway, you got your CFM 56-7B engines with some really amazing details, and of course, it's perfectly sized and has great proportions. You also got your main landing gear right there. There's your emergency exits, there's your top antenna, and then moving on to this section of the aircraft, you got your split scimitar winglets, which again, NG Models did a good job on. It's not perfect in some sort of way, but I still think NG Models did a good job. I will say though, for most collectors, they will say that the bottom scimitar is a little too big. But I still think they did a good job on like the proportions. It's just the bottom winglet that's not correct. But I can't complain. Anyways, you got your wing details right there. You got your slat details, your spoiler detail, like spoilers, and your ailerons, and your flat track canoes, and all that stuff. Looking very nice right there, and some window details as well. As I set her down, let's move on to the back side of the plane, like the rear side, of course. There's your bottom antennas, which once again, they're painted red. Like, I didn't mention about this front bottom antenna, but they are painted red, which I think that adds character to this model. Not all NG Models has this, but it would be cool if NG Models does this on all their planes. But I think it's for it's selected models only, but still, I think NG models did a good job on at least painting the bottom antennas red. Anyways, you got your Wi-Fi dome right there. There's your emergency exit door. There's like the door plug in the aircraft. And yeah, it's another emergency exit right there. There's your back antenna. And then there's your US flag. And here's the aircraft registration, November 69818. And then moving on to the empennage of the plane, you got your L2 door and the aircraft ship number. And then there's the tail skid device on the aircraft. You also got your APU right there and your APU housing door. And then there's your horizontal stabilizers, which they also has a good detail as well. And the United Airlines Continental Globe tail, which the blue on this one kind of looks a bit lighter. I think it could have been a little bit more darker, but I think it depends on lighting because I'm currently recording with some light. I think if it's a little lit, like if it's not lit up, then the color would appear like a darkish blue. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing on my camera. I'm also seeing it as well and with a full naked eye, but I think they could have at least made the blue a little bit more darker. Anyway, moving on to the front section of the plane. Well, this section, well, you can see the front. I'll go over the front on the next clip. Here are your engines, which they're well detailed. You can see a bit of the fan blades, and of course, you got your cockpit windows, which NG models did a good job on the printing on the cockpit windows, and then you also got your windshield wipers, which adds some additional details on this model. And then moving on to the starboard section of the aircraft, let me zoom out for a bit. You got your R1 and R2 door. There's your forward cargo bin, which should be right there. And your aft cargo bin is right there. And let's have a look at the top view of the plane. Here's the top view of the plane. Again, nothing much on details, but you can see the red beacon light right there. Moving on to the bottom, of course. Nice bottom details. You also got some details with the main landing gear engines. And then you got molded in air intakes, which is a good addition to this model. I also love the metallic, that's like the metallic underbelly that's featured in this model. I think it looks very nice, and I think engine models did a great job on that. You can also see some window like engine details, and then you can see the cutouts of the main landing gears like undercarriage. And then here's the front section of the plane, of course looking very nice right there. Ground flex configurations on the wings, and the back section also looks very nice as well. So overall, really nice to have this model. Not sure if I'll be using this often, but similar to the Eco Skies livery, I only saw that livery was, and that plane's already repainted into the Evil Blue. And yeah, I still have a model out of this because I've seen one that's literally like the same thing for this particular plane right there. I've seen this aircraft already, so why not get a model of it? And of course, this plane is now in the Evil Blue livery. But still, it's really good. It's really nice to have another United Airlines model in my collection, even though this sticker does not exist anymore. I still think NG models did a wonderful job on this one for one model right here. So, looking very nice and great work NG on this particular plane. Alright, let's move on to the Alaska A320. And yeah, I do got a lot to say about that Alaska A320. So with that being said, let's move on to the Alaska A320 from NG. The next model I'll be unboxing is this NG Models 1/400 scale Alaska Airlines Airbus A320. Really nice to have an Alaska A320 in my collection, even though these planes are already retired in the Alaska fleet at this point. They did retire them in January 2023. But it's really cool to have one because I've seen these planes before during my plane spotting sessions in Seattle. So it's really nice to have one to really remember the good old times with the Alaska and Virgin America stuff that happened in the past. So let's get started with the box review. You got the Airbus A320 tiles right there. You got the CGI image of the plane, Alaska Airlines logo, NG Models logo, 1/4 scale, collectible model, die-cast metal, and then you got the aircraft registration, November 642, Victor Alpha. This registration is actually one of the last registrations I caught of Alaska's A320 back in 2022. So this registration in particular is the second to last Alaska A320 I caught. And I got a rotation shot of her while reverse ops was in operation in KSEA. So here's that picture right now. And it's really nice to have an Alaska A320 photo because like these planes are no longer in the fleet anymore once again. So it's really nice to preserve a memory from the past. But the last Alaska A320 I caught was actually not this registration. I think it was November 636 Victor Alpha was the last, like the final photo I got of an Alaskan A320. So I'm assuming that it was that registration, but this registration in particular was the second to last Alaska A320 I caught in real life. And I do want to talk about the box art. So you can see the box art. I do like NG models with their box art. So you can see the Alaska logo right there. And then you can see some shades of blue. So you can see a light blue. Kind of like a sky blue, I guess, and then you got like just a mid-tone blue, and then you got a navy blue right there, and then you also got some green shades right there. So really cool on how Angel Models designed this box. Here's the bottom of the box, right side of the box, top of the box, and here is the left side of the box. Here's the back side of the box. Nothing much to go over. Same thing. You got the Engine Models logo on the top left corner. You got your warning hazards. And then you got their social media pages right there. And the item number of this model is 15017. I might see if I want to also try to get the rest of the Alaska A320s, because NG ended up releasing these Alaska A320s of the planes I saw in real life. So this is one of them. So I might try to get the one with the sharklets and the one with the A321neo as well, since I saw both of these planes in real life. But we got the Alaska A320 to take a look at, and look at her right there. Looking very nice. Do I have my CFP? Yes, I do. This is from August 2025. So got this CFP before, and there's no like additional pamphlet or just another like paper where it's just like, oh, don't hold the model with the palm of your hand. But this is like an older release set. I think this came out, I think it's either between September 2023 or I think it's September 2023 if I were to take a guess. But yeah, really cool model. Oh, they also released Flyer Pride 2. I forgot about that. So I might also try to get Flyer Pride 2, since I also seen that aircraft in real life. But overall, we got our Alaska A320 right there, and overall, it looks very nice. Let me just make sure the quality control is on point. Let's see. Looking good. And look at the bottom. And she looks really good. And oh my god, like, honestly, this honestly really looks really good from Angie. Oh, did I make sure that I'm holding it correctly? And make sure. Okay, I'm just making sure. But overall, here she is, the Alaska A320 from Angie Models. And overall, they did a fantastic job on this model in 1/4 scale. So, really nice to have an Alaska A320 once again. And yeah, what a cool event that was of Engine Models releasing all the registration of the Alaska Airbuses, except for the A319. Those registrations being the planes I saw in real life, so that's really cool right there. So yeah, I mean, like, it's really nice to have a Model 1, even though these are already retired, but still, Alaska A320, I do want these for my collection, since I can, like, who knows what I'll do with this model, but still, really nice to have this model in my collection. And here's the NG Models 1/400 scale Alaska Airlines Airbus A320. Looking very nice in 1/400 scale, and I think NG Models did a wonderful job on this aircraft right here. Everything from all the proportions and just how good the mold is. It does look very nice, honestly. So great work, NG Models, on this. And let's get started with the review. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and of course you got the nose shape, which of course NG Models does a wonderful job on representing the nose shape of the A320, similar to like Panda Models as well. And then you got your pitot stack details right there. You got your L1 boarding door right there, and your One World logo, and then you got some stack port details, nose land gear, and nose land gear door containing part of the aircraft registration right there. You got the Alaska logo right there. You got your top antenna and your second top antenna right there. Moving on to the middle section of the aircraft, you got your CFM 56-5B engines, which they are well proportionally sized and accurate at the same time. They got the correct size and everything. And yeah, a lot of good details as well. As you can see, not a Neo engine unlike Gemini. But don't get me wrong, I still think the GeminiJets is good. You got your main landing gear right there. There's your emergency exit doors. And of course, your window details right there. And of course, you got the fence wingtip, which I think NG Models did a wonderful job on representing the fence wingtip of this Alaska A320. I love on how detailed it is. I love on how like the detail is on point, like the shape of the fence wingtip is on point, and I also love on how they apply the livery into the colors of the Alaska livery on this wingtip. So great work, NG Models, on doing that, even though that's a really small mod, like a small part to like, you know, like it's a small part to like get the painting in, but I can't believe like NG Models managed to do it really good. Anyways, you got your wing details right there. Of course, you can see your flap details, slat details, and you got some flight spoilers and ground spoilers, aileron details, and all your printed details as well. It's really visible right there. You can really see them clearly, and of course, you got your flat track news right there. Moving on to the back side of the plane, you got your Wi-Fi dome, which is right there. There's your bottom antenna as well. You got the back antenna, the pretty much like the rear antenna, and then of course you got your registration, November 642 Victor Alpha. Once again, the second to last Alaska A320 I saw in person, and then of course you got your US flag and your L2 door, and then this is where the livery starts. So I do love Alaska's current livery. It does really look good on this A320, I will say. So you got, it starts out with like just a thin gray line, and then it proceeds into like a thin green line, and then you got all the various like shades of blue, like the sky blue, and then you got a mid-tone blue, and then it transitions into a navy blue. So really cool in how Alaska Airlines designed this livery. Anyways, moving on to the empennage area of the plane, you got your APU, and then there's your horizontal stabilizers right there, and the Alaska Airlines logo right there. Chest looking very nice as always, and Engine Models did a wonderful job on the printing on the logo right there on this aircraft. Moving on to the front section of the plane, as you can see all the various like good characteristics. So you got your CFM engines. You can't hardly see the details, but the fan details are there, which Engine Models did a good job on the representation of the fan blades. You also got the 642 registration at the top of the cockpit windows, which you would mostly see the numbers, like the numbers of the registration on top of like the cockpit windows on most Alaska planes. And then moving on to the, better not make sure that plane's not tail heavy. But moving on to the cargo section of the, well, not the cargo section, the starboard section of the plane, you got your R1 and R2 doors. Your forward cargo bin is right there, and then your aft cargo bin is right there. And I can't really confirm, but I'm assuming there is a bulk compartment, but so far I haven't seen any bulk compartments on this model. But still, you got your cargo doors right there. Now as I give you guys the top view of the plane, top view looking very nice as always. Of course, not much on printed details. You got your beacon light and all your various antennas and all that stuff. Here's the bottom section of the model. As you can see, really good details on the model, like various like details right there. You can see the sand hole, which is right there, and then you also got your molded in details as well. So really love to see this from NG. Moving on to the front section of the plane. Of course, here is the beautiful front section. Another look at it, but you can see the ground flex wings right there. So really nice for engine model. Actually, am I seeing things? Okay, I'm just making sure that the wings are straight and level. So that's what it is on this model right here. And of course, here is the backside of the model. So overall, great work Engine Models on this Alaska A320. And yeah, it's really nice to have a Alaska A320 in my collection. Given the fact that this is the second to last Alaska A320 I saw, was really special. Once again, 636 Alpha Sierra, sorry. Victor Alpha was the last registration of like the last Alaska A320 I saw, but this ended up being my second to last. So it's really cool to see this aircraft in person before these aircrafts are retired from the Alaska fleet. So it's really nice to preserve a history of Alaska's A320 fleet. And who knows if I'll feature this model in an airport that day. Probably like 2015 time frame, I guess. But yeah, really cool model to have in my collection, and overall it's really nice to have an Alaska Airbus plane in my collection. Oh wait, I do have the More to Love A321, so that's different. But it's nice to have an A320 in my collection. But I might go for the Fly with Pride, the A320 with Sharkless, and the A321 Neo. Since once again, Engine Models ended up doing the registrations I saw in real life, so I might go after those as well. But that's gonna be a long way there. But overall, I'm really happy for this model regardless. So yeah. Let's move on to the 737 MAX 8s. I do want to save that Iceland Air after those MAX 8s, so we're just going to get started with the United MAX 8s. So without being said, let's move on to those models. The next two models we'll be taking a look at are two NG models, United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8s. One of them is in the standard livery, and the other is the United Together / Being United livery. Super excited to add these to my collection. I've been wanting NG to do a United MAX 8, and these were announced on the September 2024 releases alongside two other 737 MAX 8s for United. But I did get these two particular planes because I do have these in my collection. Well, more particular, like this, actually both of them in my collection, I was gonna say, but one of them is actually gonna be a replacement from one of my GeminiJets models. So super excited to add these. I'm just really excited to add these to my collection. I know NG has a really good 737 MAX 8 mold, so getting these United offers is just really amazing. So what I do want to start with first is the standard livery, since that's like just the standard livery. It's just the normal United Airlines livery. So we'll just get started with the MAX 8 in the standard livery first, and then we're going to proceed to the Being United Together. So here it is, the NG models, United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8. Super excited to add this to my collection once again. I do have two from GeminiJets. So I have the first one, and I had the second release from GeminiJets. So one of them was from January 2022, and the other one was, I think, August 2024. So here we go. So United MAX 8. So let's get started with this particular model, or just the box in general. So yeah, United MAX 8. Super excited to add this to my collection, as I said a couple of times. But we're gonna get started with the model review. Well, the box review first. Oops, gosh. Okay, I do apologize for that. A little bit of oopsie. But we'll get started with the box. I do apologize for what just happened right there. So, you got the Boeing 737 MAX 8 tiles right there. You got the CGI image of the plane. You got the beautiful box art depicting the evil blue livery for United Airlines. So you can see the United globe right there. And then you can see a part of like a sky blue and then like a lightish blue color over there. You got the United Airlines logo right there. Boeing licensed product, 1/400 scale die-cast model aircraft, or 1/400 scale collectible model die-cast metal, and then you got the aircraft registration November 37318. No engine models is present on this box, like the logo itself. You got the bottom of the box, right side of the box, top of the box, and the left side of the box, and then on the back, it's pretty much the same thing. So you got your warning hazards, there's the Boeing licensed product, and I don't see their social media pages, so I'm not sure where that went, but I guess NG models decide to change things up a bit for this box. Anyways, the item number of this model is 88037. So, remember how I mentioned I have two GeminiJets versions? I'm actually going to be replacing one of them, which is going to be the first release, because the first release is good, but it had a couple of quality control issues, unlike the second iteration. While that also has quality control issues, at least that one is better than the first. So, I do want to like alter a bit and have a replacement of my first iteration with this one, because once again, NG has a really good 737 MAX 8 mold, and I'm just eager to see how this mold is going to turn out. So let me just open up the pamphlet. So we're going to pop this out like so, and as she comes out, the United MAX 8, which honestly that looks really gorgeous. Wow. And then here is my CRP. I also have this little slip right there, of course the warning that I'm not supposed to touch the model with my palms. So I'm gonna put that back. But here's the CRP. This is the March 2024 CRP, so no need to explain too much about that. But here she is. Let's take her out of the cradle. Gosh, always wanted to go for something better. From good to better, this is really, oh yes. Oh my gosh, look at her right there. Making sure the wings are good. Wings are good. Horizontal stabilizers. Don't want to push them too hard. Tail looks good. And all antennas are there, and take a look at her. Oh my gosh, yes, United 737 MAX 8 from NG. Where are we going right here? Man, that looks fantastic. Gosh, man, that's honestly a really beautiful model to begin with. I really love United Airlines' MAX 8s, but having an NG version in replacement of a Gemini, that's something in a whole new level right there. So I'll still keep the second iteration, but this one will be the replacement of my first one. But overall, great work NG models on this beauty right here. And here's the NG models 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8. This looks really stunning, I'll say. I think NG models did a wonderful job replicating this model in 1/400 scale, and honestly, it's just much better. And like, I don't want to say like we're a fan of Gemini or anything, but this is better than the Gemini. I still think the Gemini is good, but this is just better. Like, I have no words. This is just really, really good. Alright, so let's get started with the model review. So, of course, let me just focus on the camera. Okay, there we go. So, you got the cockpit windows right there. And then, of course, you got your nose shape of the plane, looking as accurate as what it should be on the NG737 family mold. As you can see some Peter tube details. Or is it me? Is like, okay, I thought I'm kind of confused. It almost looks like there's some kind of bulge that's happening on the nose, but I can't complain. But I think NG still did a good job on replicating the nose shape of the MAX. Anyways, you got your nose landing gear and nose landing gear door containing ETOPS and the aircraft ship number. You also got the connecting people uniting the world tiles right there. You got your Star Alliance logo. You got your Ellen Boyne door. And then there's your bottom antenna. I love the fact that the antenna is painted red, so that adds some character to the bottom antenna. Moving on to the middle section of the plane, you got your big United billboard tiles out there, and of course you got the livery where you start off with a swoop at the front, and it runs all the way at the very back of the empennage area of the plane. Of course, that's kind of like one of my favorite features of the United new livery, and of course you got your gray underbelly as well. There's your LEAP 1B engine, which looks very nice and well proportional in size. Let me just make sure to give you guys another look at it. So, looking very nice here from engine models right there. You also got your main landing gear as well, your top antenna, and your emergency exit doors alongside your windows. And moving on, you got your AT winglet, which I think NG models did another great job on representing the AT winglet of the 737 MAX. So great work, NG, on that. Moving on to some wing details, so top wing details. So as you can see all your various like wing details, printed details, and all your various like stuff right there. Cold silk fuel frost, and all your various like printed details and everything and all that. So no need to, I think I already like talked about this already, so no need to explain more on that one. Anyways, you got your bottom antennas right there. There's your Wi-Fi dome, there's your rear antenna, and your aircraft registration, November 37318. There's your US flag, and there's your L2 door. And there's the aircraft ship number as well. Moving on to your empennage of the plane, you can see the tail skid dragger over there, so that's kind of like the component on, in case the 737 ends up like scraping the ground. There's your APU, which technically speaking, I don't think that rarely happens. Anyways, there's the APU, a distinctive APU on the 737 MAX, almost looks like the 787. And of course, you got your horizontal stabilizers as well. And the United Airlines Evil Blue tail, which I think NG Malls did a wonderful job on representing the Evil Blue tail on this aircraft, and the color looks really good on this one. Anyways, moving on to the front section. Oop, I did not mean to like fling the box with the model itself, but I don't think it should be okay. Anyways, moving on to the front area of the plane, you can see the fan blade details, which they are hard to see, but they're there. But yeah, they're there. And then of course you got your cockpit windows as well, looking very nice, and they're putting it really good on this model. Moving on to the starboard section of the plane, nothing much on the starboard section. You got your R1 and R2 door, your forward cargo bin is somewhere right there, and your aft cargo bin is right there. Now let me give you guys a top view of the model. Here's the top view right there, nothing much, same as before. Been going over these models for the past years, so good details on the top. Moving on to the bottom, as you can see, good details on the bottom as well. No stand hole on this model, unlike my American 737 MAX, which honestly I'm really surprised on how my American 737 MAX 8 has a stand hole, but this United MAX 8 does not. So not sure what's the deal here from NG Malls, but still I think NG Malls did a good job on the bottom section of the plane. There's your cutouts on where the main landing gear should be stowed. Moving on to the front section of the plane. Here's that beautiful front section. Gosh, like the straight and level ground flex wings. That's one big improvement on this MAX 8 compared to my Gemini. Gosh, that is just amazing. And then moving on to the back, here's the back view of the plane. So overall, what a phenomenal job from NG Malls out there. Really glad to now have a NG 737 MAX 8 from United. And yeah, I would love to, like, since I have two, I'd rather just like keep the second version, but yeah, I'll just like sell my first version of the Gemini 737 MAX 8 for United. But I will actually be doing a comparison video on two of my Gemini Maxes compared to the NG. Probably on my I think I might do a comparison on both releases and this one too. So we'll see on which model is like better, who did it better, or who knows. But overall, this model looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm really glad to have it for my United Airlines collection. So that is it for that model, but we do have another United MAX 8 to take a look at. So let's take a look at the United MAX 8 being together, or United together / being United title. So with that being said, let's move on to that model. And the second model we'll be unboxing is another NG Malls United 737 MAX 8, but this one features the United together / being United titles. Now, I do have a GeminiJets version of this model already. However, this model is going to be a direct replacement for my Gemini version. So it's really cool to now have the NG version of this now. So yeah, like it's from good to better. This model in particular looks a lot more better when I see the images, and I think NG Malls did a fantastic job, but I need to see it in my own eyes firstly. So super excited, and yeah, my Gemini version has been remaining in my collection since 2022, and she served a good purpose for my collection, but I guess it's time to replace it with this NG version. So you got the Boeing 737 MAX 8 tiles out there, you got the CGI image of the plane. Cool box art, I will say. So it's just a white background, but then you also got these like triangles. Like it's like a triangle, but then at the bottom, like the bottom part of the triangle, it's curved up, and it has the colors of green, kind of like a brownish color, and then like blue. And then you can see the together tiles right there. And I think in the back it say being. And yeah, that's like replicating the aircraft, because like the port side features United together, and then the starboard side features being United. You got the United logo right there, Boeing licensed product, 1/4 scale collectible mouse like SML, and the aircraft registration November 27261. I have not seen this aircraft in real life, but I would love to. Here's the bottom of the box, right side of the box, top of the box, and left side of the box. Okay, it does say the together titles, so it still features, but it still says together on the other side, so kind of like the same thing as the front. I do wish they added like the plane's starboard side where it says being United, and then it just had being tiles right there. So I wish they could have done that, but yeah. Boeing license product right there, warning hazards and all that. And the item number of this model is 88040. So yeah, I'm just eager to see on how this model looks like from NG models, and yeah, I'll also do a comparison on my GeminiJets version as well. But it's kind of like the same deal as like my standard livery version, except it just has the Being United titles. And then here's my CRP, same CRP as what I have for my United Max 8, March 2024. I'll put back the little slip in, like the warning paper right there. And then as I take her out, there she is. And honestly, it does look much better. Wow, holy moly. Okay, honestly, this looks so much better than the Gemini version. And let me just make sure that the quality control is on point as well on this model. And let me check. Okay, double checking on the horizontal stabilizers. And let me look at the antennas. All antenna. And this one features a stand hole. Okay. I'm seeing, what are we doing here, NG? Like, why do I see a stand hole on this particular one and the other one does not? But still, this looks really beautiful. Gosh, like, NG, honestly, NG really killed it. The GeminiJets version is good, but this NG version, gosh, man, that looks fantastic right there. I don't really have any words right now, but this looks fantastic right here, ladies and gentlemen. That is just like, that's perfection right there. That is just like pure perfection. Not like 100% perfection, but this is just perfection for a model plane. Once again, like, these are not 100% perfect, but this is like almost there. It's just almost there, like 99.9% perfect, but still, this is a really good model, and I think NG Models did a wonderful job on this. So, wow, that is just absolutely beautiful right there. And here's the NG Models 1/400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 in the United Together / Being United livery. This, honestly, it just looks so better than the NG. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say more about this model, but this just looks so much better than the NG. From the mold itself and just like the colors on this, it just looks phenomenal, honestly. There's no explanation about this model. So yeah, let's get started with the review. Now, I'm not gonna go into further much detail about this model since it's kind of like the same thing as the standard livery, but it just has the Being United and United Together tile. So of course, nothing to go over with the cockpit windows. The cockpit windows looks very nice on this model. Nose landing gear, nose landing good door, connecting people United wheel tiles, and your R1 door, Star Alliance logo, big United billboard titles. They do feature red antennas on this model as well, so that's really good. CFM Leap 1B engines also looking very nice as well. So now here's the United tiles, so the big United tiles, and this is where the livery starts. So it has the United Together titles, and then, as mentioned before, you can see like some small triangles that are represented on this livery right here. So it starts from here, and it ends all the way close to like the back area, like during this, like at the start of this dorsal fin of the aircraft. So once again, the colors range from like a light blue to like a brownish, like bronze, like a bronze color almost, and then kind of like just like a bright green. So those are like the colors that are featured on this aircraft right there. Wing details are pretty much the same as I mentioned before. Looking very nice right there. AT winglet also looking very nice as well. Love the proportion of the wings right there. You also got your bottom antennas. You can see they are painted red as well. And then of course you can see the aircraft registration right there. Let me zoom in. So the aircraft registration is November 27261, and there's your US flag. Out the door, and then there's your empennage area of the plane, there's your ship number, and of course tail skid, APU, horizontal stabilizers. And let's look at the United Airlines Evo Blue tail, looking very nice. And then moving on to the front section of the aircraft, as you can see, very nice front section too. You can see the fan blades. I'm not sure if the starboard engine is kind of propped a bit upwards. It kind of slightly looks, I'm not really quite sure, but still, I think that's debatable. It kind of feels like it's slightly a little bit upward, but it's not too bad. Anyways, let's look at the starboard section. Yeah, it doesn't look like it appears to be like rocket ship, but still, I think NG Models did a good job regardless on the proportions and the size of the engine. So anyways, here we are at the starboard section. So yeah, everything's just the same. R1, R2 for cargo bin right there, aft cargo bin right there, but the difference is you got the Being United tiles right there. And yeah, it's kind of like the same deal as what the port side had. So you got all the triangles right there, and then has the Being logo right there, and like a cursive. And then of course you got United, which represents Being United. Moving on to the top view of the plane. So top view, nothing to go over too much right there. Bottom section is where I was really surprised. So as you can see, the underbelly, which is like the the gray underbelly. I think this looks much better than the GeminiJets version. And of course, you got the United Together sticker at the underbelly, like the forward area, close to the belly of the plane. And I also love the fact there's like molded in air intakes too, so that's a plus point for NG models to do. Really cool on how they added that instead of putting it in. But what really caught me by surprise is this features a stand hole, which, as you saw on the standard Livery United 737 MAX 8, that does not have a stand hole. So I don't know why they did not feature the stand hole on the standard version, but they have a stand hole on this one. I don't know, maybe it has to do with NG's production, so like production protocols, but I'm not really quite sure. But this is just really interesting to see. It's odd, but still, I'm still confused on why NG did not add a stand hole on the other MAX 8 that I reviewed. Anyways, moving on to the front section of the plane. So as you can see, front section looking very nice. You got your ground flex wings right there, and of course your back section of the plane, which is right there. So overall, great work NG models on this. It just blew GeminiJets off the competition. This is just much better, honestly. And once again, like, I don't want to give too much hate on GeminiJets, but I think GeminiJets' version is also good too, but this is just much better. So yeah, I'll do a model comparison on both of these models, and I'll probably like sell or trade in my Being United livery for GeminiJets. But still, it's a replacement. It's a direct replacement to this NG. So overall, looking very nice right here, and I'm really glad to have it for my collection. Alright, let's line up all my United 737 MAX 8s, and we're gonna proceed to the next model. So with that being said, let's get all my United 737 MAX 8s and give you my overall thoughts on them. So let's do that. Looking very stunning right here are my two NG models, United 737 MAX 8s. Overall, these models look fantastic, and honestly, both of them are better than the Gemini versions. Don't get me wrong, both of the Gemini versions are good, but these are better. But yeah, like, I have no words, like, especially for the Being United Together titles. That's just a phenomenal model, but the standard livery is also really good too. So yeah, once again, I'm gonna be doing a comparison of both of these models, so I'll do those videos later down the road, and then we're gonna, yeah, like, I'm gonna be replacing two of my 737 MAX 8s in favor of these two. The Being United, that's a direct placement of my Gemini version, and the standard livery one is going to be a replacement of my first iteration from GeminiJets. But overall, really glad to have them in my collection, and I'm just continuing on building my United Airlines fleet, because like, I love collecting United models, and yeah, this is no exception right here. So that's it for those two beauties right here. But we got another 737 MAX 8 to unbox. So with that being said, let's move on to our 737 MAX 9 from Icelandair. Alright, and as we shift gears, we move on to the NG models 1/400 scale Icelandair Boeing 737 MAX 9. Super excited to add another Icelandair model to my international fleet. Now this is my first Icelandair model in like years, because the last one I got was the 757-200 in the 80 Years of Aviation livery from GeminiJets back in 2022. But I decided to go for the MAX 9 because I did see this aircraft before, well, in the Icelandair fleet, but I did not see them in the current livery as of that picture, because like the time I got that picture was in 2022, and that aircraft was still in its older livery. But I decided to get the current livery because the Icelandair current livery, or in this case their new livery in this case, is really unique compared to other airlines. So I'll go over the explanation in just a couple of minutes or so, or maybe in the next clip or so while I review the model. But I decided to go for this model. Now, originally, I had a Icelandair Boeing 737 MAX 9 similar to this, but that one had the magenta stripe. And it was from NG's exchange model that I ended up ordering that model, and honestly, I don't know what happened to that. So I decided to go for this Icelandair blue stripe 737 MAX 9, and maybe consider like trying it again on the NG exchange model or so, but who knows what's gonna happen. Or probably just like buy another one from like a different retail store. But I did get to see Icelandair's current livery as of like for the first time back in Denver International Airport. But the first one I saw had the magenta stripe, but I did get to see the recent, I did get to see a blue stripe just recently at Seattle Tacoma. But that was on, both of them were on 737 MAX 8, so I haven't seen a 737 MAX 9 in their current livery, so who knows, because like, I think the 737 MAX 9, depending on the circumstances, they would send those to Seattle Tacoma, so hopefully I can at least try to catch one in their current livery at some point whenever I go back to SCA. Anyways, let's get reviewing with the models. So you got the Boeing 737 MAX 9, you got the CGI image of the plane, you got this beautiful box art, you can see the Icelandair logo, and then you can see the colors of like a green, light blue, and then there's a magenta fade on this side right there. Honestly, Engine Models did a wonderful job on this box art right here. You got the Engine Models logo right there, 1/4 on scale, collectible models, diecast metal. And if I could try to pronounce this name, this is like the aircraft's name, if I could try to pronounce it correctly, I think I'm gonna botch this, so bear with me guys. I think the name is Kirkufel. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but yeah, it's kind of like an Icelandic, no, like some kind of like Icelandic name. Yeah, I don't know how I can pronounce this properly, but yeah, interesting name I'll say for this aircraft. You got the Icelandair logo right there, Boeing licensed product, and the aircraft registration, which is Tango Foxtrot India Charlie Charlie. Here is the bottom of the box. You can see a blue over there, and then it fades to all like the black stuff. It's kind of like a navy blue, not black, but navy blue, and then there's a little bit of magenta right there, Icelandair logo, and then you got the top of the box. This is the right side of the box, by the way. Here's the left side of the box. You have some green fade, and then here's the back of the box. So kind of like the same deal. Oops. So nothing much too new to talk about. You got the Engine Models logo right there. You get the aircraft name, warning hazards, and their social media pages. And the item number of this model is 89007. So yeah, this is like one of NG's like newer Max 9s. It's been a while since I last had one, because the last NG Max 9 I got was the the Continental Globe 737 Max 9 for United. But I'm excited to add another NG Max 9 and hopefully more to come in the future. And as I take her out, there she is right there. And honestly, NG did a stunning job on like the design of this box, or the model itself. Anyways, here is my CRP. This is from March 2023, so one of the older CRPs. But we got the model itself right there, and let's have a look at it. As I take out the cradle, and honestly, like, they have a very nice max mold, and hopefully this model does not come broken. And yeah, and wow, geez, this honestly looks really, really cool. And yeah, let's make sure it's not broken. Let me check the tail. Horizontal stabilizer. Okay, they're good. And then let's see for antennas. And there she is. Wow, that looks stunning right there. And overall, man, this is just a phenomenal job from NG right there. They did nail this model, I will say. But yeah, this is a really cool. Really glad to add another Icelandair model to my collection. And hopefully I can try to get that magenta stripe at some point in the future. But for now, I'll stick with the light blue stripe because I think it does look nice. The Icelandair current livery does look nice with the blue stripe. So overall, looking forward to using this model in the future and really glad to have it for my international fleet. And here's the Engine Models 1/400 scale Icelandair Boeing 737 MAX 9 with a blue tail stripe. This is a phenomenal job from Engine Models, I gotta say, and I think their 737 MAX 9 it looks excellent. I'll say it's really stands out compared to all the other like Max 9 molds. Phoenix, GeminiJets, this really stands out honestly because of like the really cool features of an Engine Models, and it's almost like really accurate to like the real life plane. So that being said, let's get started with the review of the model. So you got the cockpit windows right there, and then your nose shape of the plane. Of course, Engine Models did a phenomenal job on the representation of the 737's nose. You got the radome and your pitot tube details right there. You can see the aircraft name, which once again, I don't think I pronounced that name properly on the previous clip. And then you can see I'm guessing that could be like part of the Iceland flag, if I were to take a guess. It's kind of really hard to see in 1/400 scale, but I'm assuming that could be part of the Icelandic flag. And then you got your nose landing gear door as well. And then you can see the India Charlie registration prefix right there. You got your L1 boarding door, and then there's your bottom antenna right there. And then you can see some extra details like stack ports and all your extra details features alongside the windows. And then moving on to this side of the plane, kind of close to here, let's move to the middle. So here's the middle of the plane. You got the big Icelandair billboard titles, which of course that's kind of like standard for most European airlines to have these kind of Euro-white schemes. But I think this Euro-white livery looks unique compared to all the other Euro-white liveries you see on most European airlines. Here's your LEAP 1B engine right there, looking very nice as well. You can see some pylon details right there, your chevrons right there, and I think Engine Models did a fantastic job on representing the LEAP 1B engine. There's your main landing gear as well. There's your emergency exit doors. There's your top antenna in the middle. And then you can see the AT winglet, which I do like the fact that there's like a tiny red tip. I think I'm not sure if this is present in their current livery, but there's like a red, not red, there's like an orange tip at the bottom winglet right there, which I think that's really cool. So Because like Eisner's previous livery had some yellow, so I think they kind of at least have a little bit of yellow right there. And then on the inner winglet, you can see the Eisner logo right there, the logo and the titles. Moving on to some wing details. So here's some wing details right there. Nothing to complain too much. I think Engimals also did a fantastic job on the wing details. You can see your flap canoes, your fairings, and your... Well, I think I mentioned ferry cut, but they're also called canoes. Then you can see some printed details like emergency exit details, and then all your extra details like ailerons, flaps, slats, and your spoilers right there. Moving on to the back area of the plane, not really close to the back, but in this part of the plane, you got your Wi-Fi dome, and there's your rear antenna right there. There's your bottom two antennas, which I do like this feature on most Engimals planes. There's your door plug, or this can act as like an extra emergency exit door. Since it's like a Max 9 and it can hold more passengers, it's best to have an extra emergency exit door right there. And then you got your L4 door, or L2 door, yeah, that's your L2 door right there. There's the aircraft registration, Tango Foxtrot, India Charlie Charlie, and then there's the Iceland flag right there. And then moving on to the empennage of the plane, you can see the APU right there and the horizontal stabilizers. And here is the Iceland Air tail, which I think Engimals did a great job on representing the tail of the Iceland tail. And then there's your blue stripe right there. So Iceland Air's current livery is unique compared to all the other Eurowide planes from Europe, as their livery features different colors on each of the aircraft. So this one has the blue stripe, but there's also the magenta stripe, the green stripe, and I think a yellow stripe, and then there's like a mint green stripe. I think Engimals did like those Max 9s with the mint green stripe, the green stripe, like light green stripe, this one, which is the light blue stripe, and then a magenta stripe. I think those were the 4 NG Max 9s from Iceland Air that they did. I'm not sure if I'm correct, but from what I can remember, I think they had those colors when they released those models. Anyways, here is the front section of the plane, looking very nice as well. Here's your fan blade details. I'm not sure if you can see them, but the AT winglet from this angle looks very nice. And then you can see your straight cockpit windows right there. And then moving on to the starboard section of the plane. Yeah, nothing too much on the starboard section, and at least they were able to like represent the tip, like the, what is that, the orange tip right there on the AT winglet on the starboard section. There's your R doors, or R1 and R2, and then there's your forward cargo bin, and your aft cargo bin is right there. Now let me give you guys a top view of the plane. Here's the top view of the plane. Of course, all your various details. There's a lot more details on the top. You can see a red beacon light, and then there's some extra stuff right there. So really cool to see this detail from NG right here. Here's your bottom section of the plane as well. There's your various like intakes. The air intakes are printed in, but you can see the cutout of where the main landing gear should be. And then, yeah, no NG logo or anything, nor stand hole. There's your Tango Foxtrot India Charlie Charlie registration prefix on the port side of the wing at the bottom. And then, yeah, all your various like details, which I think Engimals also did nail. Here's the front section of the plane, of course looking very nice. You can see some ground flex configurations on the wings. And then moving on to the back section, here is the back section of the plane. So overall, great work Engimals on this Iceland Air Max 9. And yeah, their Max 9 mold looks really, really good. And yeah, really glad to have another Iceland Air to my collection so I can at least diverse my fleet of Iceland Air planes. So yeah, really nice model. And once again, as for that magenta, like the magenta plane, like the magenta tail is what I'm referring to. I hope I can at least get it. But as for like the other greens, like the mint green and the light green, I think they look okay. But I think the magenta and the light blue stripe does look perfect on the Iceland Air livery. So really cool right there. And yeah, looking forward to hopefully use this model in the future. But yeah, that's the Iceland Air Boeing 737 Max 9 from NG. We got one more model to take a look at, and I do want to save this last model for last. But I'm really excited to unbox the last model for this unboxing. So with that being said, let's move on to our final model. And the final model for this mass unboxing is none other than the GeminiJets 1/400 scale version of Air Force One. Super excited to now have this model in my collection. I've been wanting to have Air Force One for years. And the first iteration of that model, that was really hard to find, but this came out and I was already into it. I always want this particular plane in my collection for reasons. And yeah, it's a well-recognizable airplane for every aviation enthusiast alike. And yeah, this is gonna be really cool to have in my collection. So, Air Force One, well technically that's not the actual name of this airplane. The actual plane is the VC-25. So, that's the presidential transport plane of the Boeing 747-200. So, I guess you may know what Air Force One is, but Yes, this is the airplane that transports the President of the United States. So it's really cool to have this particular plane for, if ever I'm going to feature this in my airport update, if the President comes to my airport. But yeah, well, not really in real life technically, but this is, I have a fictional airport. But still, this is really cool to have. Yeah, it's a really cool plane. Once again, like, it's iconic actually. Like, the plane, yeah, yet again, it transported the President of the USA, and yeah, it's really cool to have this in my collection. Now, yeah, like, once again, the first one came out somewhere around 2020 or so, I'm not really quite sure, but this came out in the September 2023 releases, and I think there's 2 Air Force Ones that are currently in service, but I'm talking about the VC-25A, but there is the VC-25B that's currently in production as of late, so probably once those 2 began servicing the President of the United States, well, the 89th Airlift Wing in that case, then the VC-25As will be retired. So at some point I'm gonna have to catch this aircraft in the future, but who knows when the President of the United States is gonna be visiting my area, but only time will tell. But let's get started with a review of the box. So you got the GeminiJets logo, 25th anniversary, 1998 to 2023. Quite odd on how they place Air Force One on a GeminiJets box instead of a Gemini Max box, because technically this is a military aircraft, but not sure why GeminiJets decided to do that, but it's technically speaking a military plane that transports the President of the United States. So I'm guessing that could be the reason why GeminiJets decided to put this in the GeminiJets box instead of the GeminiJets, if I were to take a guess. Not GeminiJets, Gemini Max, if I were to take a guess. Made for collectors by collectors. You got the Boeing VC-25 logo. Once again, this is the VC-25A. You got the United States of America tiles right there, and the Times New Roman font. And of course, you got the United States President seal, or the seal of the President of the United States. 1/4 scale die-cast collectible model right there. Here's the bottom of the box. Here's the right side of the box, top of the box, and the back side of the box. Here's the back side, the left side, but this is the back side. So you got the CGI image of the plane right there, GeminiJets logo, as well as it gets features right there, all your bullet points, and then here's the social media pages right there, Boeing licensed product right there, and your 2023 GeminiJets copyright label right there, as this came out once again in the September 2023 batch from GeminiJets. And the item in this model is GJAFO2173. Alright, here we go. I have not seen the model itself inside the pamphlet, so it's gonna be a raw reaction for me, because I do want to, like, not look at this model, like, when I unbox the box from that cardboard box, but I'm just super excited to see what Air Force One looks like in 1/4 scale, and overall, it's gonna be an excellent model for my collection. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Air Force One as she comes out of... Wow, holy crap, man, that looks amazing. Gosh. Wow, that is amazing right there. Anyway, so here is the pamphlet of the model right there. So, of course, you got the beautiful, like, description of the VC-25 and then all those characteristics of this particular plane. Alright, here we go. Last model for Mass Unboxing 16 as it comes out. Man, that is... Honestly, looking at inside the pamphlet, it looks beautiful already, but once I take it out of the cradle, it's gonna look even more fantastic. And gosh, that is honestly awesome from GeminiJet. Oh my god, the color itself, like the color of this aircraft, Gemini did a phenomenal job on representing. Gosh, oh wow, holy smokes, gosh. Wow, that looks amazing already. It's a one-piece mold, but let me check the horizontal stabilizers and the tail itself. And she's not broken. Wow, that... wow, gosh. Dang. Wow, look at that beauty right there. Man. Whew. That is one stunning model right there from GeminiJets. I'm not sure what happened to the nose landing gear, but yeah, it's something. I'm not sure what happened. But gosh, that's just a phenomenal job. But yeah, as I was saying, this is a job well done from GeminiJets right there. And honestly, it's just really cool to have this particular aircraft in my collection so I can represent if the president comes to my KRVL airport update. But other than that, this is a job well done from GeminiJets, and this is a perfect way to end off this mass unboxing. So there he is, the president transport plane has finally arrived to my collection. And here's the GeminiJets 1/400 scale United States Air Force Boeing VC-25A, commonly known as Air Force One. What a finisher to Mass Unboxing 16 right here. Really cool to finally have this model in my collection, and it just looks really stunning from GeminiJets. And technically, this could be my first military model, but not really a fully fledged military model. It's more of a government airplane rather than just a military model. But still, it does look really cool. And to be honest, GeminiJets again did a very good job on this particular aircraft. So let's get started with the review of the model. So you got the cockpit windows on the upper deck right there. You got your emergency exit hatch. There's another shape of the 747, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on doing that. And here's like this extended hump over there, which represents the aerial refueling pod. So if the, say for instance, the KC-46 were to refuel this plane, because this plane can actually be used as like, because it can actually refuel in midair. So if there's like if the KC-46 is there, then it would attach it into this side right here, and then it will refuel the plane. And then there's your main landing gear and not main landing gear, nose landing gear, and there's a nose landing gear door right there. There's a blue, the iconic blue on the 747. It looks dark on my studio lights, but when I place it outside, I think the light should appear much more better. There's a gold cheat line right there, and the white cheat line as well. And then on the undercarriage, or like the under the fuselage, you can see the light blue right there. And then there's your seal of the President of the United States right there. There's your forward door right there, and then there are your windows, and there's some Peter tubes and starport details right there. Moving on to this section of the plane, you can see the chrome that's featured on this livery right there, so looking very nice, and I think GeminiJets did a good job on the chrome. It's kind of really hard to see, but once I place it in different directions, then you can see the chrome. There's your second door right there, and here are all your various antennas, so pretty much a lot of antennas for all the communications on the ground and all the aerial defense systems that this aircraft has, because like this aircraft has like an anti-missile system, and then like there's like a system where there's like, you know, it can detect anything from the ground or any enemy aircraft. So that's really cool on how this plane has those modifications. Unlike any other commercial plane, you can all see some Wi-Fi domes right there, or maybe SATCOM domes. So actually, I don't think those are Wi-Fi domes, because I don't think this plane has Wi-Fi anyway. Maybe those are like communications, like comm boxes, or like again like anti-defense systems over there. There's your landing lights, which I think GeminiJets did a good job on representing the landing lights on this aircraft right there. And here are your light blue engines, which are GE CF6 engines. So yeah, I think GeminiJets also did a good job on the engine size of those CF6s right there. There's your third emergency exit, not really emergency exit. Well, this could be used as an emergency exit, but I think Air Force One never had like never deployed emergency exit slides on it during its time or its operations. And then you can see, yeah, all your various details right there. You got the United States of America tiles right there, printed in a Times New Roman font right there. Looking very nice, and I think GeminiJets also did a good job on the printing. There's your second door, the L4 door. Yeah, that's the L4 door of the plane right there. And then moving on to the wing section of the plane. So here is the wing section of the aircraft. You can see all the various like engine pylons and your cold soak. Or actually, this plane does not have any like CSFF, but you can see the flap check canoes, fairings, and your spoilers, and then your ailerons, and then you can see the extended piece right there. So let me grab my pencil. So here's that extended piece, which is kind of present on many of the 747-200s. This aircraft, I didn't mention this earlier, but this aircraft in particular is a modified 747 based out of this 742. So really cool on how they were able to use this aircraft, and this aircraft still operates as of today. So really nice on how they're able to modify this for the President of the United States as an aerial transport plane. So anyways, there's the extended piece right there, and you can see the roundel of the United States Air Force right there. I literally had to search that up on Wikipedia to know what that symbol is, and this is representing the roundel. And then on the starboard wing, you can see the USAF title representing the United States Air Force. And I actually want to give you guys a look on the horizontal stabilizers, because the horizontal stabilizers on this plane also feature this kind of like extended piece, but it's kind of more forward than what it is on the wings. And not sure why they designed that, but I think it has to do with, once again, some aerial defense, all the defense mechanisms this plane has to offer. So really cool on how GeminiJets are able to replicate that too. And I think these are made out of plastic, are they? Yeah, I think, yeah, they're made out of plastic, so not everything is all die-cast metal on this model right here. Anyways, moving on to the back area of the plane, you can see the rear door right there, and then of course there's the roundel of the United States Air Force. And then moving on to the FNI, you can see the APU, which the APU, I mean, I think GeminiJets did an okay job on this, but they were in the APU area. Well, there's the APU, like the exerted power unit right there, but there's also some extra, like details, which once again, those are for like defense mechanism purposes only. And then here's the tail of the plane right there. Let me focus it again. You got the United States flag right there and the aircraft registration, which technically it could be the registration, but I think it's more the serial number of the plane. So the serial number is 2800 or 28,000, which you kind of see these on many of the tails of Air Force One. They have SAM Mission 28 and SAM Mission 29. So I think these are kind of like representing like call signs. So say for instance, if the plane is just like there for a mission, then they would just like have SAM 28. Anything that does not transport a former president, then they just like call it as SAM Mission 28 or 2800. So yeah, it's there, or SAM Mission 28,000, which is technically the reason why they have these, so you can know which Air Force One there is. And yeah, there's two Air Force Ones because like in case one breaks down, then there's always a backup Air Force One to take care of the job. Anyways, here's the front section of the plane looking very nice. You can see some nice fan blade details on these CF6 engines right there, which I think GeminiJets did a good job. And then you can see the front of the front view of the plane right there, also looking very nice. And then moving on to the back area of the plane, as you can see all your R doors right there. And then I didn't mention this, but here's a forward cargo bin, and then there's your aft cargo bin right there. Then there's a bulk compartment, but I didn't mention this, but I do want to point this out to you guys. On this side of the plane, as you can see, this is actually an air stairs right there, like actual built-in air stairs on the 747, which I think out of all the 747s out there, this is the only 747 that has that. And usually it's kind of like a backup to where the president, if the president wants to board from the ground to the cargo hold of the plane, then the stairs open up and the president can actually board there instead of using the usual air stairs that the most presidents would board to this boarding door right there. And then there's also the, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the air stairs, if ever, is also somewhere over there. So there's two boarding like air stairs that are featured on this aircraft. But that's a really cool mechanism right there. Now as I give you guys the top view of the plane, here's the top view of the plane. Once again, it looks very nice, and then you can see all your various all your antennas and Wi-Fi domes, which I'm thinking, because I also did some researches after I recorded the previous video, but I think it has to do with all like the communications, like all the ground communications. I think I mentioned that on the previous video, but there's like, when you're on board Air Force One, then you have access to pretty much every single like communication from like government officials to like all the various other things, and then you can see all the various like extra details right there. And then coming to think of it, as mentioned before about these extended boom pieces on the horizontal stabilizers, I think that has to do with stability of the plane, if I were to take a guess, because like it's not like that you would see horizontal stabilizers that look like this. Only the VC-25A has those kinds of plane details right there. So that's really cool. And then you can see a red beacon light right there. Moving on to the bottom section of the plane, let me just try to position it to where it's featured at the bottom. So yeah, here's the bottom of the plane. As you can see, some printed details. It is a one-piece mold, which it makes sense for like a model, like a mold this old, I'll say, because like this is a 742. I'm assuming they use this mold on their previous 747, like the VC-25A release. But still, there's some really good details, like good printed details right there. They're visible too, which I think I do like to see from Gemini right there. There is molded in air intakes, but majority of the time, majority of like this part is like all printed in. And then you can see some green pieces right there, like green dots, which I think it's another form of like defense mechanism that this plane has. They also have like on these pods right there, I think there can also be like anti-missile detectors right there. And then on the back side of the plane, there's also countermeasures, like flare countermeasures, and I think this plane also has a shaft as well, which basically like when the shaft activates, it basically like when the plane's locked on, if a missile, like an enemy aircraft locks into a plane, this plane can use the shaft to like pretty much like throw off the lock-in system on the enemy airplane. So that's really cool, and how this plane can also have that. But one thing I know is that this plane has flares. And yeah, like the flares are really helpful in case a missile comes after you. Anyways, here's the front section of the plane. I'm holding the port wing for this, but still, I think GeminiJets also did a good job on the port section, well, the front section and the wings as well. And here is the back section of the plane right there. So overall, this is a very stunning model from GeminiJets, and honestly, oh man, I gotta watch out for all these like antennas because there's dozens of them. Then there's like a lot of them. I don't want any of them to break off. But still, this is a really cool model to have for my collection. Might want to use this at some point in the future for Roseville Airport updates in case the president were to come here, but not really exactly in Sacramento, in the Sacramento area. But still, if the president were to come to my airport, then I will feature this aircraft. But still, this is a really nice model, and this is a really nice finisher to Mass Unboxing 16. So, really nice to have it. And let's see which airport update will I feature this aircraft on. But still, really nice to have it for my collection. So that's it for Mass Unboxing 16. So what I'll be doing is lining up all my models right there, and we're going to conclude this video. And yeah, it's going to be a really interesting lineup of models right here. So with that being said, let's move to the conclusion of this Mass Unboxing. And here they all are, all the models that I unboxed in Mass Unboxing number 16. I tallied all the models in this video, and this comes at a total of 10 models. And it's kind of like similar to Mass Unboxing 1 that I filmed in December 2021. So kind of like the similar count right there, we have some returning models and just a few models that I'll be replacing as well. But in addition, we also got some cool looking models too. So with that being said, I do want to give you guys an overview on all the models that I got. So let me just do this. And here we go. We'll start off with these two beauties, these United 737 MAX 8s from NG models, one being in the standard livery and the other being in the United Together / Being United livery. So this is the United Together livery or Being United. And here's the standard livery as well. Really cool assets, and I'm really glad to have these for my collection and my United ones. One of them is going to be replacing my GeminiJets versions. Here's the American 737 MAX 8. This is directly going to be replacing my GeminiJets version from 2021. And overall, NG Models did a wonderful job on this 737 MAX 8 right there. So really glad to have that. Next up, we had the FedEx Express, Boeing 757-200 freighter, 200 SF in this case. Really cool model and nice assets for my FedEx collection, and it's really nice to have another FedEx model to my collection as well, or my cargo lineup. Here's the other row right here. We have a Janet 737 MAX 8. Really nice that this model has, well, not MAX 8, Janet 737-600. Gosh, I was thinking about those MAX 8s that I got from NG, but this is another nice model from GeminiJets right there, and it's a really nice asset, and yeah, it's really nice to see this model return to my collection after getting this from Airliners 2023. And yeah, I decided to sell it to a previous owner. I'm not sure what happened to the landing gear, but when I look at it, looks like the landing gear kind of is a bit crooked and the wing flex are just questionable. But still, really nice to have this model return to my collection. Next up, we have the Alaska Airbus A320. Really nice to have these, even though those are retired. But it's really nice to have a model of a retired plane because I've seen these aircraft before. Next up, we have the United 737-900ER Continental Globe with the 100 titles. Rather like, it's like a miscellaneous model for my collection, but I ended up seeing this particular plane with the title, so why not get it anyway? And I forgot to mention that the starboard side does not have the United title, so I did not mention that on the review of this particular model. So yeah, the 100 titles is only featured on the port side of the plane. Here's a beautiful Iceland Air Boeing 737 MAX 9 with the light blue stripe. Really nice asset from my Iceland Air collection. It's a nice model from NG Models, and I'm really glad to have it. I'm eager to see if I could try to get the magenta tail in the future. Next up, we have this Delta 8050 in the Team USA livery, another starter from NG Models right there. And yeah, it was the model that was featured in this mass unboxing, but I ended up unboxing this first before all the models from this unboxing, so yeah, but still, it's a really nice model, and I'm really glad to have it from my Delta Airlines collection, and it's nice to have another Delta 8050. I might go for that LA-28 in the future. And last but not least, we have the beautiful Boeing VC-25A Air Force One, a stunning model from GeminiJets right there. It's a beauty right there, and honestly, they did a phenomenal job on representing Air Force One in 1/4 scale, so I might use that in case the president comes to KRVL in the future. Well, in future Roseville Airport updates. So yeah, that's it for this mass unboxing. So overall, really nice turnout for all the models I got from mass unboxing 16, and overall, just really nice assets from my collection. And yeah, there's more mass unboxings to come this year. We have mass unboxing 17 up next, so you'll see what I unbox on that mass unboxing. But overall, really love this turnout on mass unboxing 16, and yeah, really nice to feature all these models from my collection. And that Uniteds and those Deltas, those are going to be coming in future Caravelle airport updates, or maybe if I have another airport update in the works, then I might feature some of these other models. But still, really nice to have these in my collection, and looking forward to Master Boxing 17 in the future. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on that post notification bell so you won't miss a video like this anytime soon. And if you want to see more of my model plane unboxings, then you can click on that playlist. But in addition to that, you can check out my mass unboxing playlist as well, and it shows you all the mass unboxing that I filmed from the first mass unboxing to the current one, which is mass unboxing 16. So that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Anyways, good night.